Hey guys, and welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than what I normally do. I have a little bit of a unit calculator here I made, just for fun. But I want to show you guys this primarily because of the pup, and the pup actually has new units. And I kind of just wanted to look at one new unit today, but if you guys do enjoy this video, you can let me know, and I would happily do this for a different unit, but today we are going to be looking at the Freeborn Warrior, and this unit comes from the new Furimba Garrison from the Malians. So it's a Castle Age unit that you get when you go Furimba Garrison. The Furimba has been reworked so that instead they get new units instead of getting uh, well the 5 system as well as cheaper units, etc. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is the Freeborn Warrior stats. And before we get into the stats, I want you to think of the Freeborn Warrior as a horseman replacement for the Malians. And that's just because it has very, very similar stats to the horseman, and that's essentially what the devs, I think, are trying to do with this unit. They're trying to make a horseman replacement for Malians. So we're comparing it to the horseman here. It has 9 damage to the horseman 11. However, it has almost double its attack speed, which means it actually does higher damage per second than the horseman. 6.5 damage per second to 5.1 damage per second. And it has more ranged armor. It's pretty significant, especially against those big ranged balls that you're going to be facing sometimes. It has more health than the horseman as well. They both have ranged multipliers against ranged units. However, the horseman almost has triple the ranged multiplier that the Freeborn Warrior does. It's obviously very significant, and the horseman has it's faster. Freeborn Warrior. The Freeborn Warrior costs 5 more resources, nothing too significant. Obviously, the horseman is a cav unit, the Freeborn Warrior is a light infantry unit, and they both do melee damage. So, this unit calculator here has its stats, its enemy's armor, which just means I have melee damage. How much melee armor does the enemy have? And that is 0. See here? If I was to change it to the knight, it has 4 melee armor. Right? So it's only here because I'm taking this box into account when I am doing my damage values. So let's check the Freeborn Warrior versus the Horseman. And we're checking this because obviously this is its replacement. We want to see how well they do against each other, and obviously the Freeborn Warrior has more DPS and it has more health, so it is going to trade better in a 1-for-1 fight against the Horseman. And that is expected because the Horseman has a higher modifier versus ranged unit. So it is going to trade better versus the Horseman in a straight up fight. Now we can compare the Freeborn Warrior and the Horseman to the Archer. The Freeborn Warrior kills the Archer pretty fast, within 8.4 seconds. And the Archer kills the Freeborn Warrior, let's say 30 seconds. It does 5.5 damage per second. And you can see here the modifier bonus is 4 damage from the Freeborn Warrior. And the Freeborn Warrior has 5 armor against the Archer's type. That being ranged armor. And we can compare that with the Horseman here. The Horseman again has 11 modifier damage versus the Archer, which means it actually is going to kill the Archer a little bit faster than the Freeborn Warrior will. So Freeborn kills in 8.5 seconds, Horseman kills in 7.7 seconds. Okay, so the Horseman is better versus the Archer, as well as the Archer takes 63 seconds to kill the Freeborn. sorry, the horseman, 28, 29, 30 seconds to kill the Freeborn. That's again because Archer gets that modifier bonus. It doesn't get against the horse. Okay, so Freeborn is better against Horseman straight up, worse against Archer. Now let's check the Expo. The Horseman, again, does the same damage and takes the same time to kill the Expo as it does the Archer. That's just because the Expo has the same health and melee armor that the Archer does. Right. So the thing to look at is how long does the Expo take to kill a Horseman? It's going to take 36 seconds and do 4 damage per second. Whereas against the Freeborn Warrior, it's actually going to take longer. It's going to do less damage per second, and it's going to take almost 14 seconds longer to kill the Freeborn. That's because the Freeborn has this 5 melee armor that the Horseman doesn't. The Horseman has 3 ranged armor. Freeborn Warrior has 5. So that's pretty significant against the Expo, which makes the Freeborn Warrior better against the Expo than the Horseman. Now, we're going to check Spearman here, but obviously the Freeborn Warrior is going to do better against Spearman. In a straight up fight, 1-for-1, obviously the Freeborn Warrior is cheaper than the Spearman, but more expensive than the Spearman, but in a straight up fight, the Freeborn Warrior is going to kill the Spearman within 17 seconds, and the Spearman is going to take almost 35 seconds to kill the Freeborn. The Horseman here, the Spearman is actually going to win this fight. Spearman obviously has a 23 multiplier. These are Castle Age units. It has a 23 multiplier against the Horseman, which makes it kill the Horseman in 9 seconds. 17 damage per unit. Very strong, obviously. So the Freeborn is much better versus the Spearman, obviously, than the Horseman is. Yeah, and I don't think we need to check too much more, but obviously the Freeborn does better versus the Men-at-Arms because it has that higher damage per second. Now, the Men-at-Arms obviously has very high melee armor, but check that versus the Horseman also does 3.3 damage per second. 3.6, so regardless, both of these units are going to do very poor against the Men-at-Arms. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to show you guys here. Just get the stats of the Freeborn Warrior, kind of get a feeling of what it does. Again, summary: better against Expo, better on a straight up fight against Horseman, better against Spearman, worse against Archer. Now I'm going to show you guys just some simulated fights that me and PuppyPaw did. He helped me out a little bit. But some simulated fights one-on-one just to show you guys in-game what this is going to look like. Now, the Freeborn Warrior does beat the Horseman, but it's not as significant as I guess thought. It's only going to survive here with 11 HP, which obviously does mean the Freeborn Warrior is a little bit better in a straight up fight, but it's not massive, right? People asking if they still have Musafati. Yes, they do. This is just a new unit on top of what they do have now, and that is just by going Remba Garrison. So now you're gonna see the Musafati against the Expo, and the Musafati is probably the best against, like, almost, like, maybe even the best unit in the game against the Expo now, because, yeah, it just owns it so hard. It has 5, again, it has 5 ranged armor. Now you're gonna see it against the Archer. The Archer does a little bit better versus the Freeborn Warrior, again, because it is light infantry, but obviously the Freeborn Warrior, again, a Horseman replacement, it's gonna beat the Archer. And it should beat the Archer. And you can see at the health bars there that it did do worse than the Expo did, right? Now we're just showing Guam versus Freeborn Warrior. Now, I don't have a Guam in my stat page, but you can imagine that the Guam is going to be stronger than the Men-at-Arms. And you can see that here, the Guam is kind of taking it to town to the Freeborn Warrior. So I think the last The last encounter that I'm going to be showing you guys is the Spearman. Now, the Freeborn Warrior is going to beat the Spearman in a straight up fight, 1-for-1, but the Spearman again is cheaper than Freeborn Warrior. So obviously you should be taking that into account as well, but in a straight up fight, the Freeborn Warrior, as I'm showing you guys here, is going to be. Yeah, cost 125, very similar to the Horseman. Again though, important to note that the Horseman would not do this well against the Spearman, right? Easy to oversee just by watching this fight, but the Horseman would probably lose the fight in a straight up fight, right? So, and that's what my unit calculator shows, so I'm sure it would. Anyway, yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of get in-game fights as well as maybe more stat focused fights, and kind of see how this unit performs, what it's good against, when you should be using it, right? Especially if you're going to be playing the Malians. If you're going to be playing against the Malians, it's important to know just because, okay, you don't see the Freeborn Warrior and just like, I don't even know what that is, right? You can kind of think, okay, I guess I need men-at-arms against this unit. Maybe some archers, just as long as you're not tanking the Freeborn Warrior. So overall implications, I recommend probably going Musafati, Freeborn Warrior, Archer as Malians. The Musafati should deal well with the men-at-arms. The Archers is kind of a support unit that does well versus, well, decent versus everything. And that Freeborn Warrior can take that large Expo Archer mass, but if possible, you can also get them into their backline and should be doing a very, very strong job at killing their ranged units. If you're up against them, again, Menelem, Spearman, Archer. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you on the next one.